People think that earning money is just going to take care of every problem. That is not true. You have to know how to manage and take care of money, especially when you have more of it. You don't want to make those big mistakes when you start actually earning and generating. Like, learn them now, even if you're not, let's say, at the place that you know is your full potential. Learn these tools and skills now. Hello, my love. Thank you so much for tuning into the podcast here on YouTube. I am going to ask you to take just a moment before enjoying this episode and go and hit the subscribe button. It not only helps the show, but it helps the channel. And I only want to continue to bring you incredible content and beautiful video content here on the YouTube. So just take a moment before enjoying the episode and hit subscribe. Thank you. Hello, my gorgeous. Welcome to another episode of Natalia Benson, the podcast. It is wonderful to be with you again. Thank you so much for tuning in. Especially thank you for tuning in to an episode like this one. Kind of a sexy title, but personal finance for women. You might be like, just personal finance sounds so serious. But this is something that came to me when I had a cold and I had some time to just rest. It's called like genius time, where like you're not doing a bunch of output, like you're not in giving mode and you're in more receiving mode. And I find that when I take space, I happened to get sick this time as well. I was taking time off work, and it's so interesting because like all I want to do is like read and listen to stuff, because it's like, it just gives me insight, especially as a Manny Gen. We like that. We like to respond to things, but it's really fascinating because what I've recognized in that time of just having some space to myself is like the way I teach money and the system I'm going to walk you through, which will change your life if you can really, really listen and not like your eyes don't glaze over. Because I found this really great quote recently that literally said like, discipline is boring until you see what it creates. And my Capricorn rising Saturn rule chart absolutely loves that, because it is so true. It's like, it is like discipline is boring until you see what it does for your life. And personal finance, it is boring until you see what it does for your life. It can be boring, but my realization when I had my cold and I had some time to myself is I was like, learning money from me is like learning money from your bestie. It's like learning money from another woman, and learning money not only from another woman, but from a woman who's very spiritual, very sensitive, very empathetic, but also very fierce and motivating and deeply organized, because that is like my Capricorn rising to a T. So we're going to explore the 6 easy money tools that can help build your bank account. And so what I'm going to do essentially is I'm going to take you through the 6 tools that I teach and just give you high level, like why you should care about these for your money and what they can do for your life. So the first tool is the Venus placement. So what I like to do when I'm teaching money tools is I like to start with astrology, because I think that when you can see and understand like why you should care about this stuff, like how it applies to your blueprint and to your soul, because we all have a really profound like financial abundance blueprint inside of our natal chart. I have lots of different episodes on this podcast. If you just go to past episodes, you'll be able to tell if they circumvent around like astrology and finance or astrology and money. I've talked about it a lot over the years, but we start with the Venus placement because the Venus placement essentially is like your money making capacity. It's your magnetism. It's what you're here to create. And if you can embody your Venus placement, that is your generative energy in your natal chart. And sorry if you could just hear Tara barking. Somebody was just coming in. So your Venus placement's really powerful. It's literally like wherever it's placed, that's the zone of your blueprint that you're meant to embody to make money and to provide value to make money. It's like the embodiment and then the area of life. So some of you have heard me talk about this before, but my Venus is in Pisces, which is the archetype of the spiritualist or the mystic. And then it's found in the second house of money, self-worth, finance, and organization. And some would say that's like a crazy combination, but like that's my work. My work literally circumvents around the spiritual and also the financial and the strategic and like taking care of the earthy Taurian sides of life. You can get to know more about your Venus placement, obviously, if you come in and you work with me and you want to go deeper and how this applies to the finance tools. But getting to know your Venus placement is just such a cool thing to do because that's where your soul is like designed to be in abundance and to be in cultivation. Now, here's what's really interesting. I've talked about this before, but my progressed Venus is in Taurus. So it's in the sign of Taurus in the second house still. And it's really interesting because really ever since my divorce and over the last year, I really have decided just to step into like more of the Taurian side of things. So it's like, I like to say the embodiment of Taurus is the grounded sensualist, and it's very grounding. It's very practical, but it still has a lot of like admiration and embodiment of the senses and abundance and like fecundity. And so it's interesting because some of you know, like I'm not leading with astrology anymore in my work. It's still embodied in my work, but I'm more teaching very plainly and simply towards the tools and the actual practical, tactical habits and things that are going to transform your life, like these 6 tools that we're going to talk about. So we start first with the Venus placement because that's your generative placement. You can look at the embodiment, which is the zodiac sign. And then you also want to look at the house that it's found in. And that is the zone that you are literally like your soul was like, I want to create through this space. This is what I want to do. This is what I'm here to do. This is where I'm here to generate abundance and value for myself and for others. Then the second tool is money tracking. So you have to know what your money is doing. You have to know what the cadence of your finances are doing. So what money is coming in and when, and then what money is going out, both with your business and with your expenses for your life. I've set up this system very, very simply where you literally can see, okay, here is the money that I am bringing in. And then here are the expenses that I have for the business. And then here are the expenses that I have for my personal, just for my life to make my life run. And then I've created a calculation in my spreadsheets where everything adds up and you can see if you're profitable or you can see if you're going into the negative. And this can help you adjust. It can help you see, okay, actually, I'm doing pretty good. When all is said and done, if I'm tracking correctly, I actually am meant to have surplus. So there's things that we can do with that. And that's where it gets really fun. But if I am going negative, okay, this is just feedback and information. So what gets to change or what needs to change if I can see that the amount of money that I'm making and the amount of money that I'm spending, both in my expenses and in my personal, it's not enough. And I will tell you, my loves, from the emotional lens, a lot of times with money tracking, my girlies can get a little overwhelmed with it, where they're just like, oh my gosh, this is a lot, or it can feel really confronting. But the gift of tracking your money, and this is just tool 2 after we discover your generative and earning placement within your astrology, then we want to see, what is your money doing? What is your behaviors and your cadence with your finances, both money circulating in and money circulating out? And this is really important because if you want to be entrusted with more or upshift whatever you have going on with your money, you need to first know what is going on with your money. So that's tool 2. And that's where we start to track and like really show money that we care. Money is a relationship that we are having. Like it is literally a relationship that is just like a friendship or a lover or a partner. We want to make sure that we are honoring and caring for that relationship. And money tracking is one of the first ways that we literally let out our hands and we just say, money, I respect you. I love you. I'm here to pay attention to you. And that is a very, very big act of power and empowerment. If you're a woman who makes money or wants to make more of it, but still feels overwhelmed, disconnected, or unsure how to actually lead your finances, I created Magical Women in Money just for you. MWMM is where money meets self-trust, strategy meets intuition, and women stop outsourcing their financial power. Inside, I teach you how to organize your finances, understand your faulty money habits, align your earning with your astrology, and build real wealth for your future without shame, pressure, or feeling like you're behind. This is a personal finance meets astrology method that works. It's grounded, empowering money work for women that feels approachable and soulful. Join the waitlist for Magical Women in Money membership, MWMM. The link is in the show notes. Now, the third tool that I teach is multi-bank account money management. I have a saying that money management can and will make your dreams come true. So the way that I like to look at this is that when you manage your finances according to the money management system that I teach, it's really remarkable. And here is why. You literally, your banking turns into like your life mastery dashboard. Every single bank account that you are using, you're not just working out of a savings and a checking account. That is confusing. Like that does not work. What's really fascinating, and I'm going to tell you why, because especially if you have a business or you're just in general trying to be more financially organized and you're only working out of 2 bank accounts, it's going to be way too overwhelming. You're going to have so much stuff to look through. Whereas when you have multiple accounts that you are working out of that have very, very specific jobs, you have clarity. I always like to say organization and clarity are also tools of making your dream come true. You have to see what is actually going on financially with different areas of your life. How much money do you have for your weekly spend? How much money do you have coming in? You have a dedicated account called deposits and allocations. How much money is the business holding? How much money is in your personal account, like for your mortgage or your rent? So very simply, these accounts have designated jobs, and you have one account that just brings in your money, brings in your paychecks, brings in the money from the business, brings in money from investment dividends, whatever you might have, and it goes into one account. And then once it aggregates, you literally then allocate it. And that's a fancy word, but all it really means is you're just sending the money to the specific accounts, and you do this according to something called percentage allocations. And the reason why percentage allocations are exciting is really because that's the amount of energy, AKA money, AKA currency, that you are sending to that part of your life. So your business gets a certain amount, your, actual like personal account gets an amount to pay your rent, pay your mortgage, to have fun with. Your weekly spending account, that is almost like, I almost look at it as like an allowance that you give to yourself, where it's like, this is the amount of money that I'm spending for the week, and you track it. So we're going to talk about that in a couple minutes. Money management can and will make your dreams come true. This is where you can start investing. This is where you can save and put money towards a vacation. This is where you can pay into saving up to quit your job and like start your dream business. Like when you get really, really, really organized, it's pretty incredible what you can create. You just have to see what's going on. And I always like to say, if you don't give money a job, like it's going to give you a job. You need to tell it what to do. The fourth tool is a money organization overview. So this is where you get to see your assets versus your debts. Do you have a net worth, or do you have a lot of debt? And this is all good. There's no shame here. We just need to see what is going on, because what we want to have is a healthy relationship to both assets and to debt. And if we have debt or we have extensive debt, this is where we want to look big picture and get to understand, okay, how much debt do we have? Like, what is the amount of debt that we actually have? What are the APRs that we have in terms of our debt? What is going on with our debt story? And then what is going on with our asset story? These are things that we want to be able to know and see. Like, something that I do in my system that I work within with my money date every week is like to see, I go and I manage and I check, okay, how are my assets doing? I go and I manage and I check and I'm like, okay, what's my debt pay down? I literally look and see everything. It's all written out. And I will tell you, my loves, this is so peace inducing. I've worked with a lot of women over the years where they just have zero wherewithal of where they are at, whether, they have assets or they have debt, or they have a mix of both, or they only have debt, or they have no debt and they have their assets, but very simply. And usually people who have any form of assets, they keep track of them and they want to know what's going on with them. But with debt, I feel like we can get a little more avoidant, where it's just like, it feels like a really shameful or heavy thing. And like, we don't want to pay attention to it. But in order to alleviate something, number one, we can't hate it. And in order to alleviate something, we have to focus and pay attention to it. And it doesn't mean we have to devote every single penny that we have to paying off debt, but we do need a plan. It's going to be very peace inducing. It's going to feel very like badass energy. We're going to feel good by not avoiding it. And then the money management system, back to tool 3, you can actually utilize your savings, your financial freedom account that's coined by T. Harv Eker from my favorite book, Secrets of a Millionaire Mind. You can actually use aspects of that account to pay down debt. So again, it's like you have a plan, you know what you're doing. And I was talking to a woman in MWMM the other week where she was saying like, I don't want to be in this space where like I think about using all my money to pay down my debt. And I was like, yeah, that's like a really crappy feeling. You know what I mean? That is not a fun feeling. So we have to like pay into our pleasure as women and care for ourselves, and then also care for our debt as well. So that's my approach. Doesn't mean it's the end all be all, but I have seen it work. I've had women in MWMM pay off 5 figures worth of debt just by tracking with the system that I teach. So it can be done, whether you have $5,000 in debt or $50,000 in debt. You just need to see what's going on and make a plan to pay it off. And of course, be in your earning capacity, which is what we're talking about with your Venus placement, is being in your generative, earning, abundant energy. Because in order to pay down debt, of course, we need to be generating so we can allocate currency, energy to take care of the debt over time and really have a plan for it. Okay, so we're going to talk about tool 5. So this is weekly spending and budgeting. So the weekly spend account is so fun. And I've talked about this before, but this is like where we gamify our weekly spending. So instead of looking at it as like a budget, it's literally like, okay, I have this amount of money. I was just talking about this in a recent episode. Like, I have this amount of money to spend this week, and I'm going to track and see, like, I'm going to have fun with this. Okay, I have money for groceries. I have money for eating out. I have money for like miscellaneous. I was mentioning in that episode as well that I have something called sinking funds. So if I have like, this blonde hair of mine is not natural. It requires a lot of upkeep every 3 weeks to be exact. So I just always make sure that I'm allocating for my nails, for my beauty, for my facials, for my massages. I literally like things to take care of myself and honor my goddess and my feminine. I have sinking funds for that. My hair, like obviously taking care of my hair. And it's just like these things, they all come out of my weekly allocation, and they just aggregate and they go to an account that I have called my personal sinking funds, and I track them in a spreadsheet. Now, this all sounds like a lot. It is not. Once, people always talk about like passive income, passive income, passive income. They want passive income. Well, guess what? Everyone wants passive income because the idea of passive income is literally that you're just making money doing nothing, but it isn't true. You have to set up the system for it to become passive. This is the same with your money. You have to set up the system in order to receive the fruits and the abundance from the system itself. So this is what is so beautiful. It's just like you can literally be in the zone of thinking that, oh, this is way too much, and it sounds boring, but this is like what brings ease and peace to your life, where you're not thinking about money all the time. Because if you know, okay, I've got my weekly spending account, this is my budget, so to speak. I've got a designated account for it and a designated debit card, and I literally utilize this to spend money. That's literally what this account is for. You can spend it down to zero each week. Like, obviously be mindful, especially if you have like auto deductions coming out of it for like things that you buy. Like, I have my Glossy subscription, and I always track my subscriptions in my weekly spend account as well. And I make sure that I don't go over. So this is just a way where when you have this set up, it's fun, because then it's like when you show up for your facial, you show up for your lymphatic, you show up for your nails, you show up for your hair, you're not just throwing it on a credit card and letting that compound and then you owe all this money on your credit card. Instead, you are aggregating your own cash to go towards the things that you want, things that you enjoy. And in addition to that, I said the gamify piece, because it's like, okay, this is the amount of money I have to work with this week. And I'll look at my calendar and I'll be like, okay, am I going to dinner? Am I like, do I have plans? Like, am I going to be home more? Like, how do I want to use this energy this week? And I see if I can stay within that, set amount. And it's fun. And it's like, when all of this is clear, you start to have fun with it and you don't avoid it. Like, I think that what happens and what I see a lot in some of my past behaviors is I would just throw things on credit cards and not track. And then all of a sudden you're like looking at your credit card statement and you're just like, what did I even spend? This is bananas. And this, for me, as someone who's an overspender and likes to spend money, I had to figure out a healthier way to pay for things in my life that I really, really want and that I enjoy, while still honoring and living in my means, which hasn't always been an easy thing for me. And I think a lot of women struggle with that, especially once you start making money. Like, people think that earning money is just going to take care of every problem. That is not true. You have to know how to manage and take care of money, especially when you have more of it. If you're a woman who makes money or wants to make more of it, but still feels overwhelmed, disconnected, or unsure how to actually lead your finances, I created Magical Women in Money just for you. MWMM is where money meets self-trust, strategy meets intuition, and women stop outsourcing their financial power. Inside, I teach you how to organize your finances, understand your faulty money habits, align your earning with your astrology, and build a real wealth for your future without shame, pressure, or feeling like you're behind. This is a personal finance meets astrology method that works. It's grounded, empowering money work for women that feels approachable and soulful. Join the waitlist for Magical Women in Money membership, MWMM. The link is in the show notes. I was even thinking, this is kind of a funny thing. Like, I love clothes. Like, I love getting dressed. I love expressing myself through my clothing. And last night I had like mounds of laundry. I actually broke my washing machine on accident, and it took a week to get it fixed. And it was interesting because then I had to do all of my laundry at once. And I was looking around on my bed last night and I was like, oh my God, it's going to take me 20 minutes to put these clothes away. But I was like, well, you love clothes and you will always, want more and you want to express yourself. Well, you got to take care of them. Even the same as like with my body recomp journey and my health journey with like my health, my vitality, my physique, just because I got to a certain place with my body recomp journey, which I talked about in an episode last summer, my body transformation journey. I mean, it's interesting. It's like, well, yeah, here I am. And like, I'm existing in this really, really healthy, very like a physique that I feel amazing in, but it's not like I can just stop. It's like, well, now I have to keep taking care of myself with all those habits that got me here. And so that's what all of these are for, my loves. These are like the habits you get into to care for your money, especially when you start making more money. You have to know how to take care of money. Otherwise, like, learn from me and from some of my mistakes. It's like, you don't want to make those big mistakes when you start actually earning and generating. Like, learn them now, even if you're not, let's say, at the place that is your full potential. Learn these tools and skills now. Okay, last tool we'll talk about, and then we're going to talk about the money date. So your business expenses tracking. So biz expenses, if you are an entrepreneur and you have a business, don't skip over this part. Like, even if you have a career, a lot of my babes are entrepreneurs, but very simply, we want to think about, like, if I want to care for my business, I want my business to grow. I can't be like sinking my business with all these random expenses or things that I'm not paying attention to. So you want to, again, this is a sheet in my money management system, but you literally just tally up from every area of your business what it is that you are spending. And again, even if your business isn't generating big time yet, you want to start tracking now and get into good habits now. If your business is tracking, but you feel like you don't have a good system and you don't have a good handle, I really built this system for entrepreneurs. Like, it can be adapted for anyone, but it is, I am an entrepreneur. That's really what I've done most of my life. I've been an entrepreneur now for almost 2 decades. So I really built this to know how to care for my money. And the biz expenses tracking is so you can see what is the business's base expenses every single month. Like, what hurdle do you need to jump over every single month to keep everything flowing and to keep the business healthy? And even when I started to do this and I was tracking, I was like, oh my gosh, why are we paying for this app? Or like, we need to cut back on outside services for a little while until we have our next launch. Or it just helps you be so much more cognizant and really make sure that you're profitable. And I will tell you, my loves, from the feminine energy perspective, I love this system and I love this stuff because for me, this is like creating a sacred container because I don't want to have to overwork. I actually used to make way more money every single month than I do now. And I was way more stressed out and I didn't have a system for what it was that I was doing. Now I still am very, very stable, very grateful for that, but I just know what's going on. I don't want to have to overwork and think I need to launch at every turn. I want to have a nice life. I have a business not to have it consume my life. I have a business to be not only of service, but also to have a nice life and to have a beautiful lifestyle. And I think for a lot of women, that's what we want. That's why we want to be entrepreneurs, or we want to have something that generates for us on our own, because we want to be of service and be in our skills and our talents and our gifts. And then we also want freedom and spaciousness. And we have cycles. We don't work in these consistent modes like a testosterone, driven body. So last tool, this is very important because this is where you bring all 6 tools together, essentially, is the money date. So the money date is where you sit down and you have a date with your money, just like you're in a relationship. You have like a state of union and you go through your whole system and you see, okay, what is my weekly spend at? Where are my assets and debt at right now? What is my weekly spend? What do I need to track on a month in, month out basis? How is the business doing? Do we have a launch this month? Have any expenses changed? You literally just do a 10 to 20 minute date with your money and you care for your finances. It's the best. And you can make a matcha. I like to make a matcha and make it cute. And I just take care of my money and I see what's going on and it's fun. I just love it. Like, it's like the total geeky side of me, but it's just like, it feels so good to take care of this stuff because it's not just like, oh, I'm taking care of my money or I'm having a money date or I'm doing this personal finance system that Natalia Benson told me about. It's like, no, this is literally creating a beautiful quality of life for me and for the people around me, because I know where my money's at. I have a plan. I know what's going on. I'm not thinking about money all the time because I know what is happening. And even if you do this system and you're like, wow, there's some things I want to change. Well, that's how we change things. We change them from love. We change them from focus. We change them through patience and habit shifts. And it's just all so worth it. And you are so worth it. So to end this episode, I'm going to invite you to join the MWMM waitlist. I have built this entire system for you. All of the calculations, I like to consider this like my wealth building system, where you can utilize these tools to build your bank account, to stop going to zero all the time and actually learn how to care for money so that it builds for you. And it doesn't just build for you now, it builds for you in a future focused sort of way. Because a lot of us, and I've had so many conversations like this recently, where there are a lot of women where no one has ever talked to them about retirement. No one has talked to them about like planning for financially later on. And these are things that we can do for ourselves, but we need to be organized and we need to pay attention. And I have built you this system, my loves. It is organized, it is simple, it is cute, it's fun, because when you really get the hang of this stuff and you go step by step in the way that I teach this, you will be absolutely amazed at what this can do for your life and how this can serve you. And if you are also curious, when you go to sign up for the waitlist, we'll have it in the show notes for you. I want you to look at the testimonials and the experiences of the women who have done my money work. I bring together personal finance. I bring together astrology and the spiritual and emotional work. And at the time of this recording, I'm also in a really exciting up level with MWMM right now, where I am re-recording and updating the portal. And it's just so exciting what is going on. This work is so important to me. I see what it has done for my life. I see what it does for the lives of women who really apply themselves to it. I mean, this is life-changing stuff. And like I said, you are worth the work. So we will have the waitlist in the show notes for you. Thank you for tuning into this episode, and thank you for being willing to learn this. I am saying thank you to you from your future self. I love you, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Bye.